The Boston Bruins picked up a huge point against the Tampa Bay Lightning on Saturday to end a pretty wild week for the Black and Gold. They're now set to head out west to take on all three Western Canadian teams later this week. All that and much more on today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoke B, as well as take a look around the NHL. Today is Monday, December 6th, and I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Boston Bruins your first listen every day. We're free and available on all podcast platforms, as well as YouTube, so please do subscribe, whether you consume the podcast through your ear holes or through video or both. That would be amazing. Thank you so much, and looking forward to another week of Locked On Boston Bruins content. If you are on Twitter, you can follow along at Locked NHL Bruins, same handle on Instagram, and you can find me, my dad jokes, hockey tweets at Ian C. McLaren. I hope you all had a great weekend. We spent some time around here decorating for the holidays. Went and got our Christmas tree. Santa came to our local school over the weekend, and it was a great time. We checked out some Christmas movies. Home Alone, the new one on Disney Plus. Not great, but still a bit entertaining. Anyways, Saturday night, of course, the Boston Bruins took on the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they emerged with a point in a 3-2 overtime loss to the two-time defending champion Lightning. Now, the Bruins were, of course, without Brad Marchand due to his suspension. That was the final game served. He'll be back for Wednesday's game against the Vancouver Canucks. Bruce Cassidy remained away from the team due to COVID-19. And then on Saturday, Charlie McAvoy was announced as being out of the lineup due to a non-COVID illness, while Jakob Zboril, I should say, also missed the game against Tampa Bay because of a lower body injury. So it seemed a little precarious as they went into the game with Connor Clifton inserted into the lineup, Jack Ahcan as well, and the Bruins managed to fall behind 2-0 thanks to a shorthanded goal by Taylor Radish. And then another goal that was scored after the Bruins had created an amazing chance at the other end of the ice. That kind of mirrored how their season has gone, dominating shots, not getting the bounces in their favor, and then having it come back and bite them the other way. They managed to tie the game thanks to goals from Charlie Coyle, Curtis Lazar, had a glorious opportunity in overtime on a David Pastrnak breakaway, and then Steven Stamkos came back the other way and just fired a rocket past Jeremy Swayman that, I don't know if anybody could have stopped that shot. Charlie Coyle, after the game, said, "You want to get every point you can. You work back from a couple goals to gain a point. That's huge down the road." Of course, they wanted to finish it off. They had some opportunities, and they weren't able to. Swayman played some good hockey to keep the Bruins in it. And, of course, the Lightning are a good team. But Coyle reiterated, you want every point you can. On one side, it's good to claw back and work and grab that point. But there's also some things they can work on when they don't win the game to look at and learn and get better from it. It was Andre Palat who scored the Lightning's second goal. The Bruins, however, outshot Tampa 39-25, and they just kept pushing and pushing. Coyle pulled the Bruins to within a goal when he finished a beautiful behind-the-back feed from Erik Haula, with about 3:30 left in the second. And then Lazar put a beautiful backhand behind Andrei Vasilevsky to tie the game. Joe Sacco, who continues to fill in for Cassidy, said he thought the team played very well, especially when down 2-0. They were still playing a good, solid game and, kept battling. They competed. Nobody took the night off. They had everybody on board, and it was good to see. Unfortunately, of course, they didn't get the end result, but they were able to, claw back, and all credit to them for that. Erik Haula, I thought, played very well on another game with Charlie Coyle and Craig Smith. Again, Haula's outstanding feed was one of the highlights of the game, and it showed that he is kind of rounding into form after being scratched last week. He's playing better, there's no question, said Joe Sacco. He's around the net, he's on pucks, he's competing, his game is heading in the right direction and trending where they want it to be. Now, one of the questions moving forward is whether they, with the return of Brad Marchand, disrupt that line by putting Taylor Hall back with Coyle and Smith, or if they keep the trio of Haula, Coyle, and Smith together. They have looked very good over the past couple games, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. This is where it would be handy to have a second line center that could play with Taylor Hall, and we'll see here with that Jake DeBrusk trade request looming, whether or not something comes of that today. A lot of people saw this gap in the schedule between Saturday's game against Tampa, Wednesday's game against Vancouver, as, a possibility for when the Bruins could make that kind of move. As of 9:30 here on Monday morning, nothing doing, but perhaps that's something that will come before the next game against Vancouver. Lazar scored his first goal of the season. Maybe it wasn't his first, actually. Yeah, it was. And he admitted that he was relieved to get that pressure off of him. As much as you say you don't think about it, especially in the role that he plays, he wants to help out on the scoreboard as much as he can. That's not his main priority. But even when it does happen, you feel a bit stronger on the puck, you're lighter on your skates, you're just feeling good about yourself. So he's looking forward to continuing that momentum in his game and make an impact for the guys. Obviously, like you said, he's not expected to score every night, but anytime that secondary scoring can chip in, it's a bonus for the Boston Bruins. Now, Jack Ahcan, like I said, he made his season debut, and he played very well at both ends of the ice. And we'll see here if he remains in the lineup, if Zaboral is out for any length of time. Will the Bruins take him out west with them? Sacco said he played hard. They wanted him to move the puck, transition it, hopefully able to make some plays at the blue line and be responsible defensively. And he certainly did that. I think Matt Porter of the Boston Globe tweeted out some stats from Ahcan's performance the other night that were very impressive. Per Natural Stat Trick, when he was on the ice, the shot attempts were 31-5 in favor of the Bruins, 18-3 shots in favor of the Bruins, 16-2 scoring chances, 7-1 high danger shot attempts. But that's incredibly insane, especially up against the Tampa Bay Lightning. He definitely warrants continued looks here in the future. Now, before we move on to some more items from this game and what the week ahead looks like for the Boston Bruins, a quick word about Indeed. They're a hiring partner that gets you what you really want, a short list of quality candidates as fast as possible, because you can do it all: attract, interview, and hire, all at Indeed. Don't struggle on your own to find quality candidates for your job vacancies. Indeed can help you hire the right people right now. They partner with you on every step of the hiring process, so you can find talent with the skills you need through tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. I've used Indeed in the past to search up jobs locally and remote and have had success finding work through Indeed. Right now, you can get a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com using promo code LOCKEDON. That's Indeed.com/LOCKEDON. The offer is valid through December 31st. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Again, that's a $75 credit at Indeed.com/LockedOn. DirecTV is a great way for you to get all the entertainment you have in one place without any hassle. DirectStream brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, which means you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. The best part? There's no annual contract, so stop waiting and get your TV together with DirectStream. Learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Again, I want to thank you for making Locked On Boston Bruins your first listen every day, free and available on all podcast platforms. And you can also find the podcast on YouTube. So please do subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts. So yeah, let's talk about the week ahead. And one of the major bonuses for the Bruins will be getting Brad Marchand back. He served the final game of his suspension on Saturday. He'll be back in the lineup on Wednesday night in Vancouver. The Bruins will have some decisions to make when it comes to the forward group. Hall, Bergeron, and Pastrnak played pretty well together. I mentioned Haula, Coyle, and Smith. And so it'll be interesting to see where Taylor fits and also what that means for Jake DeBrusk. Joe Sacco said we'll have to meet and talk about the lines with Bruce Cassidy, obviously virtually, and see where they want to go. But as far as Taylor goes, hopefully he can pick up where he left off with whoever he's playing with. He can play like that regardless of who he's playing with and just has to keep that mindset. Yes, he had a pretty solid performance with those guys on the top line. And yeah, I'm not exactly sure where he's going to get. The logical thing would be to put him back with Coyle and Smith. But do you want to take Erik Haula out of his groove? Do you put him on a line with, say, Trent Frederick and Nick Foligno? I don't know if that is ideal. Does Jake DeBrusk come out of the lineup? Is he traded? Do they acquire a center in that deal in time for Wednesday's game against Vancouver? Who knows? A lot of moving pieces. The Bruins do practice here on Monday morning around 10:30 a.m. prior to flying to Vancouver. They're flying there today to get acclimated to the Western time zone before Wednesday's game. And so we'll see if any moves are made before that flight. I read actually Sean Thornton's book over the weekend, which is a great read. I highly recommend it. And he mentioned how road trips, are a really bonding experience for teams, especially a concentrated one like this. It's a whole week through Western Canada. It would make sense to not have Jake DeBrusk come along as to remove any distractions, not have that hanging over the team's head. Do they keep him back in Boston? Did they make a trade today? Do they bring him along? And is Sweeney going to remain patient until he gets the best deal possible? Those are questions that will be answered, presumably, here on Monday as the team heads off to Vancouver, like I said. The Bruins will play the Canucks, who we'll talk about here in a moment in the news and notes section, in Vancouver on Wednesday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern time. They will head to Edmonton for a game against the Oilers on Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, and then they'll get Friday off in Alberta to get down to Calgary for a game on Saturday against the Flames. The Bruins, of course, have already played all three of these teams. They lost to the Oilers back on November 11th by a score of 5-3. They lost to the Flames 4-0 on November 21st, thanks to a shutout by Dan Vladar. And then they beat the Canucks on November 28th by a score of 3-2. The Canucks are well down in the Pacific Division standings. They're last place, 8-15-2, but the Oilers and Flames 1-2 in the Pacific, with the Flames sitting first, tied with Minnesota for first in the Western Conference, leading the NHL with a plus 30 goal differential. So it'll be interesting to see how the Bruins stack up against them. The Vancouver Canucks do play tonight against the Los Angeles Kings. And the Canucks also had a huge shakeup last night by firing both general manager Jim Benning, previously with the Boston Bruins, as well as head coach Travis Green. Green was in his 5th season as coach. He's going to be replaced by Bruce Boudreau. Benning was in his 8th season as GM, and he'll be replaced by Stan Smyl for the time being, as the Canucks search for a new head of hockey operations and a new general manager. So they will have one game under Bruce Boudreau prior to Wednesday's game against the Bruins. That will take place tonight against the Los Angeles Kings. We all know Boudreau has a reputation for giving a boost offensively. So guys like Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser will really look to get going behind their new head coach. And hopefully the Bruins don't fall prey to that new coach bump here on Wednesday. Again, they'll have a one game tonight against the Kings to get ready for the Bruins on Wednesday, while the Bruins do not play until that game against the Canucks on Wednesday evening. And we'll get updates this morning from Bruins practice. And please do follow Locked NHL Bruins for all the latest when it comes to lineup news and notes. And if a Jake DeBrusk trade does drop, I'll be sure to get a bonus pod whenever that does happen. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar. And right now, with the holiday season upon us, you can grab a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, or even better than a candy bar. Built Bar is filled with so much holiday goodness, rich with decadent flavors, covered in chocolate, but amazingly low in calories, sugar, carbs, and fat. You get the best of both worlds, delicious and healthy. There's so many flavors, you'll have a hard time choosing. Will you want raspberry or mint brownie, cherry or double chocolate, cookies and cream or peanut butter brownie? They give you that extra fuel you need to bust down those mall doors and battle all the holiday shoppers. And if you're standing in endless shopping lines, pull one out of your pocket, and I'll give you that energy to keep going. Santa can also throw a few Built Bars in your stockings, and with so many flavors, they'd make anyone's Christmas morning a happy one. Want to cozy up with something warm? Here's a holiday secret. Dip your Built Bar into a nice hot cup of cocoa, let it melt a little bit, and give your beverage a bit of that Built Bar flavor. Go to Built.com right now. Use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Again, they're a great stocking stuffer, great energy boost through the holiday season, and you can enjoy a delicious but healthy treat over the next few weeks. BetOnline is the number one spot for all your sports action this season. They have you covered for props, odds, and lines as football continues its march to the playoffs. Head to their new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Use promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, hockey, boxing, UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2021 season. It's the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. That's BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, let's finish with some news and notes from around the NHL. I mentioned the biggest story was the firing of Jim Benning and Travis Green over the weekend. Frank Saravelli of Daily Faceoff updated his trade targets a few days ago, and Jake DeBrusk comes in at number 2 on that list. He wrote, DeBrusk's trade request has been well publicized, grabbing headlines, generating interest. As many as 12 teams have reportedly inquired, and though he's been needed in the lineup, Don Sweeney has been active in attempting to facilitate a deal and diffuse the situation. There have been questions about his attention to detail and effort level via Bruce Cassidy, and the difficulty is other teams have seen that too, leaving Sweeney in a position of weakness, trying to trade a talented young scorer who, while his value is seemingly at a low. Now, he did play pretty well over the weekend, possibly boosting his value there. And we'll see if there's any takers. Among the players also on this list who could come back in a trade, Vitaly Krasov of the New York Rangers, 9th overall pick in 2018. He's on loan in the KHL after refusing an AHL assignment. He is a very talented offensive player. The Bruins could use some help at right wing as well. So that's a possibility. JT Miller, Dylan Strome, who, if you've been listening to the podcast, know that he's a guy that I am very high on. He scored last night in Chicago's win over the New York Islanders, who are just completely spiraling right now. And that's a deal that I would really love to see happen. Here on Monday morning, Robin Lehner announced that he will not take part in the Olympics. He is eligible to play for Team Sweden, obviously. He said, have to address, I will not go to the Olympics. Very disappointed, and it's a tough decision for me since it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Reality is that we have been said about how it's going to be is not ideal for his mental health. Took a long time to make a decision with his psychiatrist and his family. His well-being has come too far, and being locked down and not knowing what happens if you test positive is too much of a risk. Sweden will have a great team, and Jacob Markstrom is a beast. Hope people understand. I tweeted that few people have done more to normalize prioritizing mental health in hockey than Robin Lehner. A lot of respect for making this decision. I believe if you test positive over at the Olympics, there's a 3-week lockdown period. And again, there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding COVID around the NHL, cases popping up every day. And it's possible that NHL players might not even go at all. So we'll keep an eye on that. So, the Bruins, a few days off here ahead of Wednesday's game against the Canucks. I will update the Atlantic Division Power Rankings tomorrow as normal. We moved away from that last week because it was so crazy. I'll try to do a mailbag on Wednesday. Thursday, potentially a very huge and special guest. I won't reveal until it happens, just to not jinx anything, but looking forward to that. And just keep trucking along here on the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I do appreciate all the support. And now, after this first listen, I recommend going over to Locked On Bets as your second listen. It's your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs, hosted by your boy Q and Lee Sterling, free and available on all platforms. So do go check that out now. All right. Thanks so much, friends, for checking in. Hope you have a great Monday. We'll talk to you again tomorrow here on the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every day.